Have you ever felt like there's a vivid fire burning inside of you, yearning to break free and illuminate your life? That, my friend, is your vibrant life waiting to bloom. Welcome to the Vibrant Life Podcast. We are here to empower women just like you to liberate that vibrant life, to live authentically, and to harness the power within.
Our journey will take us through the enlightening realms of energy healing, goal setting, spiritual awakening, and so much more. We're stepping into the light of self-acceptance, of owning our power and potential.
If you have been yearning to dive headfirst into the world of entrepreneurship, or awaken your spirituality, or simply make peace with yourself, your search ends here at the Vibrant Life Podcast. As we embark on this enlightening journey together, we promise to hold your hand through every step of your journey to a more vibrant life.
Your adventure to true empowerment and authentic living begins here. Tap into the vibrant life you've always dreamed of. Subscribe now and join us at the Vibrant Life Podcast. Embrace your vibrant self. Until then, shine on.
Shine on.
Hi, and welcome to the Vibrant Life Podcast. We are so excited to be back with you. It's been a couple weeks since we were able to record.
It was July. It is now September. It's September 6th.
Oh my gosh.
This won't be released till next week, but it's September 6th and we last recorded in July.
Yeah, we've had several months of just craziness.
Summer vacations, going back to school, sickness.
Has hit both of our houses.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of been a lot.
It's been a while.
It's been good. But luckily, we have been able to continue working towards launching our Vibrant Life Society, which is going to be our membership. So that is coming here very soon. So we've made a lot of progress on that, even without that. But we just haven't been able to sit and chat and talk with you guys and do this, and we've been missing it for sure.
Definitely. So. It has felt like it's been way too long. So we're excited to be here. We've done a couple things solo, so we would love to hear your guys' thoughts on that. A couple of them did really well, and a couple of them kind of bombed. So we're kind of interested in people's vibes on that. Are they like, with us getting out of practice, did people stop listening, or like, did you forget about us while you were busy with your summer vacations? That's quite possible too.
Right. I mean, everyone's been out of routine. And that's just part of life.
That is part of life.
Not a big deal. But yeah, we always love to hear feedback of what you want to know more about, what wasn't resonating, if you have questions on things.
Yeah.
We want to know.
I think it's been a really long time since we've introduced ourselves too.
Oh yeah.
So maybe we should do that, just because we are working on growing our TikTok audience. So guys, we're like the almost 40 somethings working, although I'm aging Cassie. Cassie's not as old as I am, but
35. Let's not go beyond where we are.
Okay. I'm almost 39. My birthday is in 2 weeks. So I'm going to be 39. So this is going to be the last year before 40, which feels interesting, but we're trying to figure out the social media realm. And so I don't know if any of you are following us on TikTok, Facebook. Our Facebook following is not very good. Instagram's not very good. YouTube, we've got some happenings there, but I am working on TikTok, getting more engaged with people.
You're killing it on TikTok.
Yeah. So last Friday, we had 69 followers on TikTok. And last night was the last time I checked. We were up to 701. So I know. I just realized we're doing Raise the Roof here. And I'm like,
we're the elder millennials. We're in here, we're like, let's a TikTok. I'm sorry.
How do I
edit this? I know. I was like, when did we become old?
It's funny to try to get into new things, but there's lots of women on TikTok that are doing similar things. So we've been connecting and engaging with people, which is exactly what we're trying to do. But I just realized, I was like, oh yeah, this is a podcast. Not everyone's watching us. So we're sitting here doing Raise the Roof.
That's true.
It's totally silent on the podcast. So if you're listening, we're being extra goofy here.
We're being silly.
But I love that. So we've been working on a TikTok following, just trying to build a bigger audience.
Yes.
So 701 as of last night. So I'm excited because I think we're going to hit 1,000 next week for sure.
And this has been a big, we're talking about intuition. One of the other things that we've done is we decided we're doing like a theme to every month. So September's theme is all about intuition. So tapping into your intuition, both in your personal life and professional life, how to incorporate intuitive practices into your health journey, how to incorporate intuitive practices in your finances. So that's kind of what is coming up.
Yes.
But we also talk about our wins and our struggles on this podcast. And You guys, getting on social media is way outside of my comfort zone. I am a longtime lurker on social media. I am not like a commenter. Like I am the silent creeper. But I've been having fun, like pushing myself, leaving comments, actually interacting with people is fun. I don't know why it took me 15 years to realize that, but I'm having a good time.
I think there was a social stigma for a while there. For me, I was only on Facebook, and Facebook got really nasty.
It was mean.
It got very mean. So I think that was an intuitive practice for me, was to get out of social media. I didn't want to have anything to do with it. So now that I'm getting back into it, I'm finding my people.
Yes.
Which is what's important, which is what we're all about, is finding your people, finding the people that understand you, that don't judge you, that you can just be yourself. Like, absolutely be your authentic self is so important.
Right. And what we've really been focusing on is bringing the energy that we want to put out. So putting out the energy that we want back in. So being just doing what we do in this podcast, but like supporting other creators. Like, we both like to buy local, we like to shop small, and so supporting other creators, we're out here doing this too. So it just all fits. And so it's been fun to kind of shift my beliefs around that. I've had a lot of limiting beliefs around social media.
Yes.
And just like, that's not for me. I don't want to be seen as like, I don't know, like influencers. Like I don't want to be an influencer, but I want to have impact. And I think that's how I've been redefining that. Like, I'm not trying to influence you. I mean, TikTok Shop seems like it's popping off, so maybe I will influence you sometime. But like,
if I'm gonna get a really good looking butt from the stair stepper I did buy, then yes, you might as well have a really good looking butt.
But it'll be like an honest, genuine like review of only things that I like.
Yeah.
But yeah, so just kind of reworking some of that and exploring this new thing that we're like so late on the train about. But that's okay. That's part of it. Like, we're on it now.
We're on it.
It's never too late. It's never too late.
And I don't know how late we are, though. I think the almost 40-something are just getting into it. The mid-30s.
Yes.
I'll reframe to be inclusive. The mid-30s.
Yeah. I don't know.
Just getting on it.
My older brother-in-law has been telling me since 2020 to get on TikTok. And I was like, I don't get it. I don't want to. I don't dance. And he was like, it's not about that. And I just have been, I think I also needed kind of a detox for a little bit.
Yeah.
But now it feels fun and it feels good. And it's
okay. Maybe we are good. 4 years late to the train. I also think I had some superstition about, the Chinese government. I don't know what else I heard about that I was like, I'm not going to get on that. I don't need any other outlet. But now that I'm on it, I found so many spiritual people. I've learned so many things. It's crazy what you can learn from people. And once you get your feed to like follow what it is you're super interested in, I'm like, this is really great information. And intuitively, I know that it's information that I can trust because I check in with my gut on whether it resonates or not.
Good segue.
So that is a segue. Did you like how I did that?
I see what you did there.
But I like that. Okay, so that is what we're talking about today. Our very first topic was tapping into your intuition. When we were very baby podcasters, not that we're not that less of a baby podcasters now, but this is episode, I think, 22. This is episode 22, which is pretty great. So, but I think we should introduce ourselves again.
Okay.
Just because it's been...
You said that like 5 minutes ago.
I know, but we're vibing, we're enjoying this. This is great. But yes, let's tell everybody who we are again.
Hi, everyone. If you're watching on video, if not, I'm waving to you.
She's making signs with her.
I am Cassie. I am a strategic business coach as well as a professional project manager. I love working with other entrepreneurs with ADHD or neuro and creating systems to help support you, because we know some days we're on and some days we are not, but your business still needs to work for you. So that's where I come in. And I dreamed up Vibrant Life, I don't know, 3 years ago. And then in December, we had a party, and I met Audrey through my daughter's daycare, and we had a mom's party, and she was like, I feel like I'm led to teach. And I was like, I feel like I'm led to do this. And we trusted our gut, and we're here. Yeah. So I brought Audrey in, and we've just been building it together, and it's been really fun. So Audrey?
Yeah, I'm just going to take off of where you left off. Was I had this really big feeling like I was supposed to reach out to a large community of women. So it wasn't just teaching in a, what am I supposed to teach? I knew what I needed to teach. I needed to teach spirituality and grow a community of people together. So Vibrant Life was just exactly on brand. So I think the party was like end of January.
Okay.
I think I think we met.
It was a Christmas party, but it was probably after
It
Christmas.
was late. I think it was late. But then by March, we were running. We were running with these ideas, having lunch meetings, and this was totally out of my. I'm a nurse, is my trade job, and so this is totally out of my, like my niche, my comfortable wheelhouse. I'm having a hard time coming up with words here. It was outside of my comfort zone. And she's talking about being an entrepreneur. And I was like, oh, I'm not an entrepreneur, so I can't identify with that. And then as we got going, I was like, oh my God, I'm an entrepreneur too. This is exactly what I'm doing. And Cassie's like, I wondered when you were going to figure that out.
When that light bulb was going to come on.
Light bulb. But I've been working on things for a few years. So I've really gotten into holistic healing. And so with my nursing background, I really want to tap into that. I have become a Reiki master. So I love working with energy and helping other people to feel good. So that's kind of where my gifts are. I love to do card readings too.
Yeah,
I love to
good at that.
Yeah, oracle card, tarot cards. I really just love helping people to tap in to their intuition and just kind of knowing that there's a lot of answers out there that you can only find by going within. So if you've got like all these things happening in your life and you're like, why me? Why is this happening? And I came from a place of that, where I was like, felt like the world was upside down. And how did I make it right side up? I tapped into my intuition. And
yes.
Here we are.
Yeah, same. I mean, we've talked about our journey on previous episodes, and we'll probably talk about, I feel like this building of Vibrant Life has been a very intuitive journey for both of us, just kind of feeling things out and, you know, taking on new projects as it felt right. But there's also like strategy behind it.
Yeah.
So we have project plans because I'm a project manager, but you know, leading with your gut. So we'll talk about that next week when we get into our week of the podcast. But this week we're talking about really how to tap into your intuition. So what do we mean when we say that? Do you want to define it for us?
Absolutely. What is your intuition? Intuition is that gut feeling or the inner knowing that guides us without the need for logical reasoning. So it's just like having a direct download to what way you should go for whatever the question is.
Right. For me, it's a lot of like gut check or vibes. Like, have you ever walked into a room and you're just like, ooh,
yeah,
like the vibes are off, something's off here, something's wrong. That's your intuition being like, it's like your sixth sense. It's knowing kind of what's going on. If you can't quite put your finger on it, you still know something. You're getting information from something or somewhere, and you know that you need to address it. So to me, that's kind of how I
that's
think about intuition.
Yeah, and that's why they say listen to your gut. And so your gut, getting into Reiki, that is your yellow, that's your solar plexus. That is where like you're connected. That's like your inner being is right there. So you're literally checking into your inner being when you're trying to figure something out. So for me, I get feelings. I get, you know, that goosebumpy feeling. So truth resonates a frequency. And so when I say something that I find to be truthful, I will get goose pimples like all up and down my arms, or I will just get that. Yes, sometimes it's so intense that my eyes well up with tears and I just feel like this kind of sensation where I'm like, oh yes, that's the direction we're going to go. In fact, that was the moment when we were talking at that party, and that's how I feel right now, that we were supposed to get together and do something. That's when I knew. And we have been doing a lot of Vibrant Life that way. What topic do we feel like talking about today?
Yeah.
And we'll do a quick gut check on what it is what direction we want to go.
Yeah, for me, it's more just like a sense of calming. Like a lot of times I'll have like churning while I'm trying to make a decision. It feels kind of anxiety like, and then when I land on it, it's just like this calming of the seas. And I felt that like, because I had been thinking about Vibrant Life, like I had dreamed it up several years ago and then kind of put it aside because it just wasn't the right time.
We should tell about that.
Yeah, there was actually Audrey did a card reading for me and she's like, it's not the right time. And I was mad at her. I was like, excuse me, ma'am. Yes, it is. Yeah. And it wasn't. So I put it aside for a couple of years while I took on this other project, but I was coming back to it. Like I was feeling it was just on my mind a lot. And I think that's another way that you can kind of know something is intuitive when it keeps coming up, popping in. I would be driving. I would be at, you know, my daughter's, you know, swim lessons or whatever. And it would just be like, Vibrant Life, let's do that again. And at the time I was like overwhelmed with other things. And I was like, this is not the time. This is not the time. But it was. And so I was thinking about it and I was kind of dreaming up, like, is is my initial plan still relevant? What do I want this to look like in the future? And I kept being like, it'd be so fun to do this with somebody. Like, I think I need to bring somebody in. And I didn't have anybody off the top of my head. And so that was like probably the 3 weeks leading up to that party. And then when Audrey was like, yeah, I'm wanting to help women. I'm wanting to reach out. I'm wanting to teach. And I was like, peace. And I was like, okay, we're going to talk. We're going to go to lunch.
She says peace right now. And I have goosebumps. Do you see them?
Yes, I do see them.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
They're intense because that's exactly it. That's that intuitive hit that we were supposed to do something together. But I want to touch on, you also said you kept hearing vibrant life. Yeah. That is another thing. When you get ideas that just pop into your head and you have no idea where they came from, it's most likely your higher self giving you guidance.
Yes. So, and I think I do want to touch on, I don't know if this is the right time, but I'm going to touch on it.
I can rearrange.
But letting yourself or giving yourself permission to listen to yourself.
Yeah.
That was something throughout my marriage that I kind of had to stuff down. And so for me, it took several years to get to the point where I could hear my intuition, and then that I was okay trusting my intuition, because whether it was some environment when you're growing up, a lot of times depending on the religion that you're in, I know it kind of came from there of like, you can't trust yourself with some of the messages that we end up with. I think for me, it was a combination of that and then reinforced within my not great environment in my marriage of just like, I knew it wasn't the right situation for me. And so for years and years and years, the 12 years that we were together, or the 11 years, whatever it was, just pushing that down and being like, I can't recognize that intuition. So I couldn't trust it, or I wouldn't allow myself to trust it when I then got out of it. But I do think it was my intuition that got me out of my marriage of just being like, girl, no.
But you
stop.
You stayed in it for so long because of all the turmoil that it was going to cause, right? So the easier you had a fork in the road where your intuition was like, hey, you should probably leave. This isn't the right situation.
Yes.
But society's expectations, religious expectations that once you get married, you stay married. Like that's huge. That is ingrained in your brain for 20 some years.
Right.
And then how do you just let that go?
How do you let it go? And also there was a lot of self-doubt going on, and there was a lot of environmental factors, and like any, not great relationship, like there were good parts. We were best friends for a while. There was just also a lot of bad parts.
Yeah.
I haven't gone and seen that movie, but I know there's a lot of turmoil around that. What is that movie with Blake Lively? Oh, it ends with us. Colleen Hoover. I haven't
seen it.
Love triangle. I'm a book girl. But love triangles and any kind of like toxic, that kind of stuff I can't do. But
for good reason.
But one of the things that I've been reading about that movie is like, it shows that there's reasons you stay. There's reasons that you stay. There's reasons that because it's not all bad. Yeah. And so your intuition, at least for me, it was just in upheaval for 11 years. And so when it did finally end, I mean, there was obviously upheaval, there was upset, but there was also this like, oh my God, I don't have to decide anymore.
Yeah.
The relief of like, I can drive to work and not have to figure out like how I'm going to make this work. Like, I don't know. There's so much room for activities in my brain. like this for vibrant life.
I've got stepbrothers rolling through.
Yep.
You want to build a bunk bed?
Yep. So while I had a newborn, oh my gosh, I was like, whoa, got so much time on my hands. The mental space is free. But it eventually was intuitive. And I do think it was very much like meant to be the laid out. For like example, there was one point you can just ask. You can ask the universe. Like, I remember I was rocking Gemma, who's, teeny tiny. She was maybe 3 or 4 weeks old. And we had just found out some things. And I was like, I wish there was just a book on this. And I opened TikTok and there was a book.
Oh my gosh.
And like, I didn't even say the topic out loud, but it was like, and it was actually the Chump Lady book, which is Leave a Cheater, Gain a Life.
Yeah.
And I found one from a pastor who was like, live in this forever and just never get to like live separately but never get divorced. And I was like, that doesn't, gross. And then I found this lady and I was like, yes, this is what I needed. But that it came up at the right time and it gave me the strength I needed. Anyway, that was a very long tangent.
It was a very long tangent, but you're telling about all the things that you were doing to listen to your intuition.
Yes. But learning to trust it. I had to trust it throughout that process. And that was very scary for me because I hadn't trusted it. I had actively denied it.
Yes.
for a large part of my life. So learning to trust into that. So starting with that, how I did that was starting to recognize when the vibes would come.
Yeah.
When would I get that like tingle, or when would I get that peaceful feeling, and then being like, okay, because like you said, there's a fork in the road. Once you've identified what your intuition wants you to do, you can choose to go for it or not.
Yep.
And so starting to actually move in that direction, and slowly but surely my life started to get better.
Yeah.
So yeah.
We're talking about, the good feelings and when something's right, but there's also bad feelings when something's wrong, right?
Yes.
When you're walking down the street and you don't feel safe, you feel like you got to look out for what's happening behind you. That there's a really good reason that you feel like you're on the verge of fight or flight, right? But you talking about that opened something up for me, something that I have not shared. This is going to be a deep dive for me. I'm going to go for it. This is very personal, but so I started tapping into these things. I started discovering and identifying these things in 2020. So I fixed all the outside things first, right? Work came first, and then friendships, and then parenting was next. That was a little bit more personal, and then personal relationships kind of was probably next. But then it came down to my marriage, and that happened probably the time we were starting to, it was the same time where I was listening to my intuition, and I kept hearing, if you want to have good vibrations, you have to check in with the vibrations of all of those around you. And my husband had been really battling depression since 2020, like in a real bad way, and not really understanding that he was battling depression, but he had a lot of anger and a lot of struggles that I tried to be very patient with and tried to help guide him with. And my intuition just in February was just like on fire, like, it's time to fix your marriage. And when I initially got into that, I was like, I'm done with my marriage. I don't want to fight anymore. I don't want to pick him over me any longer. It has to be me. I have to come first. And that was a giant revelation for me, because my entire life I put everybody else's needs ahead of my own. It's in my birth chart. Like, it's there that those were journeys that lessons and journeys I was supposed to partake in and learn about. But that moment in time, it was like, no, I come first. What do I want? And I was like, I want to be free. I want to be happy. I want to be able to go to the park.
Yes.
It's a really big thing. It was like, I want to take my kids to the park without having to fight with you. I want to choose what I want for dinner without having to argue about what we're going to do for this. Yeah. And so I told him I wanted to separate because I didn't know what else to do. And you know what happened? He woke the fuck up. Like, there's no other way to say it, but he woke up immediately in that moment and was like, oh my God, what's happening? So we went through probably 3 weeks of really bad. I was like, yes, I'm out. We've got this family vacation planned, and when we come home, I'm moving out. I was like looking at apartments. I was choosing myself and happiness over this marriage that I had been in for a really long time. And we went on this family vacation, and it was the most magical week of our entire lives. We came to an understanding on what we needed moving forward. And we did get a couples workbook on it is all this intuitive things. And the first exercise was to write a letter to your spouse on what it is you loved about them and what it is you see for your future. And our letters were identical.
I love that.
Yeah, they were
just a communication block.
Yeah. And I'm sure, so learning more about astrology and things like that, I was in a karmic cycle, an ancestral karmic cycle of where the women in my family have been dominated by men and never chose to stand up for themselves or to do what they needed to do. And so I can see all the reasons for it, but it's been 6 months now and things are going really well. Yeah. And our family has been pieced back together. And so if I had not listened to my intuition, which I was waking up in the middle of the night and I was hearing I literally was hearing guides talk to me about how I deserved nothing but the best. And I deserved to be happy and I deserved to be free. And that this was the right thing to do, was to tell him I wanted to leave. And who knew that telling him that I wanted to leave was what was going to fix us.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're in all this turmoil.
Yeah.
And then, for me, when I finally said it out loud, there was just peace.
Peace.
Absolute not peace.
Like,
there's details.
There's a lot of things to
there's whirlwind, but
yeah.
Deep down there's peace. And actually, while you were saying that, there was another story that came to mind. So as you get used to listening to your intuition. So one of the things that I've been working on is actually speaking my mind. That is something I still struggle with.
Yeah.
Again, 30 years of being told not to, like that's hard to break. But it's like I have something to say and I know that deep down. So just practicing that. So when I get a nudge, actually trying to follow through on it. And I don't do it every time. You know, I'm still working on it. But several months ago, I got invited into this fabulous girls group. And we were out for lunch to say goodbye to somebody else in the group who was moving. And I had met these ladies like 2 or 3 times. And of course, you know, someone was talking about husbands. And normally I'm very quiet on that because like I kind of am the poster girl for like, girl, leave him already. Mostly because I wish I had earlier, you know? So if you come to me with like marriage complaints, I'm like, get a divorce. And I had to be very cognizant about that with Audrey because it's not the solution for everyone. And I only say that for like, anyway. So,
but that was a good point. That was a good point that was something we went through together. And
yes.
you were so supportive through all of it.
Like, if you're supposed to get divorced, like, I'm here for you. If you're supposed to stay together, I'm here for you. Like, for me, it worked out. It's not right for everybody because I didn't want to get divorced. So let's just say that. You know, that wasn't my intention. And I know everyone's situation is different. But I kind of went on that tangent at that lunch. Like, I don't know these people. That is so out of character for me to just be like, bleh. Like, here's my opinions on, like, on stupid husbands that don't, like, you know, pull in their weight.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wish more women knew that, like, once the dust settles, like, oh my gosh, you're so much happier. Like, you will be happier. Your kids will be happier. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I got told, like, stay together for the kids. And that is absolute bullshit. I am calling that right now.
Ever.
It is terrible because I would not be the mother I am today. I would not be the human I am today if I was still in that situation. Oh, and I should also mention, like, he wasn't like hitting me. There was no physical abuse. I should probably clarify that, but there was other kinds. And so I went on this tangent with these women that I like barely knew, right? And then I was like, oh, that was kind of a lot. Like, so you made me sit back like, to the point where it was like on my brain. So 2 days later, I like texted them. I was like, just to be very clear, I'm not against all husbands. I'm just against stupid husbands. And I think people should leave them. And one of the ladies, I'm not going to say her name, but she texted, she's like, what you didn't know is I filed for divorce that morning. And I was so scared and I was so sad.
Make me cry.
And she's like, I was just terrified. So hearing you say, like, I got through it. I'm happy for it. My kids are happier. I'm happier. She's like, I needed that. And I was like, girl, I didn't know you. I didn't know your life. But that's what your intuition can do. It's not always just for you. It's for other people around you and helping you be part of their journey of like, this is the message that you need. I'm just going to speak it. And so that's something that I'm working on. And we're doing that with social media too, of like, what should I be saying? Because I am a strategy person. I'm very analytical. I don't like making mistakes. And I think that's where I hide within plans. So trying to just let it flow, let it go, as Elsa would say. We watched Frozen the other day, so
I was so bad when we let it go.
Let it go.
Can't hold it back anymore.
Exactly. I couldn't hold it back, and it turned out okay.
Right? Well, that's just it, though. I think that's so important because you don't know when you're going to walk into a room and you can literally change somebody's life with just a few comments.
Yes.
And yesterday, I went to work and there was a gal that I work with and she was like, oh my gosh, do you see what's happening in Colorado? And something about gangs and people's apartments getting taken over. And she was just so overwhelmed. I was like, are you on TikTok? I was like, you should follow me. So I like gave her a TikTok. She scanned it. I was like, listen to good things. So anyways, by the end of the conversation, I looked at her and she goes, you just make me feel so good every time I talk to you. And I was like, did you feel that vibration shift? Because even myself, I was covered in goosebumps because I was like, yes, directly. She was having a moment, which we all have moments. You can't get away from those, and feelings are meant to be felt. So we're not saying we're not
right.
toxic positive, right? We're not saying you have to be happy and go lucky all the time. But when you have a moment, like you can shift somebody's day with just a comment, then you're like,
right.
I don't know why I'm saying this, but I'm just going to say this right now.
Right. Well, like I just got my hair done a couple weeks ago, and I went and she's like, I need to tell you, I went home and broke up with my boyfriend after talking to you last time because you said, like, because she was on the fence again, and I was just like, here's what I wish someone would have told me. It's okay to leave if you're not happy.
Yeah.
And I was like, here's the thing, you don't have anything to talk about because you guys don't do anything. Like there is no, and he's not trying. I was like, I wish someone would have told me when I was 22, like, it's not going to get better. And so I was just like, I'm not telling you what to do. I was like, this was just my experience. And she was like, I went home and I blah, 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 night. And I was like, okay, me just out here destroying relationships, but I'm making it better for the girls. I'm a girl's girl. Like, I was a little like, oh, damn. That was a lot. But she's in a better place. She's happier. So
well, that's just it.
Yeah, like, I feel really weird talking about, like, my marriage in such a negative light because it was such a big part of my life. But it's like, if that's what's going to help other people, I think I needed that.
Yeah.
I want to be the person that I needed when I was in that situation and younger.
I can counter that, though, with it's good to have the hard conversations and to listen to your intuition on that. And my husband the other day was just like, hey, do you want to go take a walk on the river and da-da-da-da-da? Like, things that we used to do that he stopped doing when he was depressed. As soon as he snapped out of that depression, man, we started doing all the things as a family again. So even though, like, so sometimes it does work out for the better, but I intuitively listened to that hard conversation that needed to happen.
And you were at a status quo, and you had to have the hard conversation and be willing to risk it.
Yes.
You had to be willing to let it go. And so, and then your marriage is better for it.
And he wouldn't have snapped out of it if I hadn't said I was going to leave. If I'd had that hard conversation of, I feel like you're very depressed and I can't take it any longer. Like, if I had gone about it the way I'd done several times before, he wasn't ready to listen. And he even said that. He's like, there's no way I would have listened to you if it hadn't been that bad. But sometimes it just, it just works out.
Right. And that's actually been really good for me to see too, of like, he's stepping up, he's trying. Like, there are men that are going to fight for you. And like, I love that. And I love that journey for you. And I love that for your family. And I love that for him too. I love that for him too.
Yeah,
like,
I love it.
Because everyone's in a better place.
Yeah, I love it for all of us. But the intuition on, do I stay? I really had to tap into that for a while because I was like, is this real life? Is this happening? I was so certain it was going to be one way, but then I could totally see the whole picture of, if you didn't think it was that dire, it never would have been fixed.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but also, we don't have to get to dire situations for our intuition to speak to us.
No, absolutely not. So on a daily, we're going to talk about intuition on the daily. How do you get in touch with your intuition? So I also feel called to talk about third dimensional and fifth dimensional living. So third dimensional living is you're in the 3D. You have life, like, this is how life is supposed to go. This is what I'm supposed to do. Like, there's not a lot of questioning or depth to how you live. You just, okay, I grow up, I get a job, I have kids. Like, it's the status quo. It's what you're supposed to do. So fifth dimensional living is being aware that you are a spirit having a human experience and being in to tap into, why am I here? What's the greater plan for what this life is? So when you get to tapping into that intuition, I just read a book on fifth dimensional living. I can't remember what it's called, so that's not very good. I should probably include it in the show notes. But she recommends taking 6 weeks. If you're into tarot or oracle or anything like that, she recommends no divination tools, just to get to know your intuition. That when you get up in the morning, you say, do I wear this red shirt or do I wear this blue shirt? You just ask questions that mean nothing. That you don't have your ego. So I guess we didn't really talk about ego either. So ego is your personality. It is created to keep you safe. And it is what you think is leading you this entire lifetime until all of a sudden you're like, wait a second, I think there's more happening here than just being a human where I grow up and then I die. I am actually a spirit. So when I leave this body, guess what? I live forever. So I'm kind of going on a tangent here. I'm going in different directions. So where am I going with the fifth dimensional living? Oh, so asking yourself questions. Do I turn right to go to work or do I turn left to go to work? Like, which direction should I go? So to ask yourself questions all day long about things that don't matter. And that's when you can kind of start to be like, oh, I feel like I should do this. Or like one day I just decided to listen to intuition all day. And I ended up at a flower shop and I got a really nice plant. And then I went to a bookstore and I had a really nice conversation with a stranger. And even though there wasn't anything giant that came out of that, I felt really good and had a great day. Just following these little hunches and nudges on what should I do?
Yeah.
So yeah. So that is one way you could get tapped into that intuition.
Yes. And then trusting it, acting on it was the other thing.
Yeah, I acted on it.
You got to act on it because you gave yourself permission to listen to it.
Yeah. And so that gets you more tapped in.
Yep.
I just looked and this podcast is already up to 35
Yeah. And it didn't go where we thought it was going to go, but
It
apparently it went where it's supposed to go. So
that's exactly it. And so who out there listening is having problems with their marriage and needs to go right or needs to go left actually is what I'm feeling the reasoning behind this podcast today.
Yeah.
So even though we thought it was daily tips on how to listen to your intuition, it turned into something totally different.
And I think the moral is it's going to be okay either way.
Yes.
For Audrey, it went one way. For me, it went another. And we're both where we're supposed to be.
Yep. That's exactly it.
So
that is the moral of the story. I love
You'll
that.
be fine whichever way you go.
Yeah.
You'll be okay. And you have community, you have resources. Yeah, I feel like we are supposed to say, like, get help.
Yes.
Don't do it alone. Neither of us did it
No.
alone. I
No.
did therapy. I had community. Part of the reason I wanted to do this community. So, we're here as a resource, but also if you need one-on-one intentional help, like, go get that. We're big on therapy.
Yeah, for real.
So, okay. Well, I think that's probably it for this one. Next week, we're going to talk about intuition at work.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
We think. We'll
We
see
think
where the
that's
next
what we're
one
gonna talk
goes.
about.
Again, we'll intuitively guide it wherever. We have a plan. We have a
Yes.
52-week plan for all the podcast episodes. However, each time we just kind of see where it leads us. So
Yeah.
that's where we're at now.
So you're on this journey with us. We
Yeah.
have a plan, but
Yeah, we'll see where spirit leads us.
yeah. All right. See you guys next week. If you haven't yet, follow us on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. We're most active on
YouTube.
TikTok right now, but whatever your platform is of choice.
Yeah,
And we'd love to see you there.
love it. And please comment, like, share, push all the buttons.
Push all the buttons.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning into the Vibrant Life podcast. We hope today's episode has energized and inspired you to live your best life. If you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so as to never miss an episode. And please take a moment to leave us a review. Your feedback fuels our mission to bring you more valuable content. Remember, your journey to Vibrant Life is ongoing. Stay connected with us on social media at Vibrant Life Society for daily tips, motivation, and community support. As we wrap up today's conversation, we encourage you to embrace each moment, pursue your passions, and prioritize your well-being. Together, let's create a life that radiates with energy and purpose. Until next time, live vibrantly. See you in our next episode.